between Israel and Gaza. He says these strikes are separate and distinct from the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas and do not constitute a shift in our approach to the Israel-Hamas conflict. The U.S. has 2,500 troops in Iraq, 900 in Syria, and the Pentagon warns it will take further measures to protect them if necessary. John.
Okay, thanks so much for that update, John. That is John Hendren for us in Washington, D.C. Well, let's bring in Abdullah Al-Aryan, an associate professor of Middle East history at Georgetown University. Thank you again for joining us in the studio. I want to talk first of all about the United Nations, because we are expecting another vote today after at least two draft resolutions have already been voted down. What hope do you give this one to be passed today?
Well, based on what we're hearing, it's not encouraging. I mean, I think the idea of a humanitarian pause, which is one of these really strange terms that's been invented just for the purpose of this particular onslaught on Gaza by Israel, is really disturbing for a number of reasons. I mean, partly because in some ways it's sort of de facto legitimizing the massive atrocities that are happening against the Palestinians by Israel. For the idea of simply pausing for a few days to feed a few people and to dress a few wounds, and then simply resume bombing the same people is certainly not going to be a solution to what we're seeing now. Instead, there has to be a much more categorical call for a ceasefire, for just an end to this ongoing bombardment that we're seeing. And of course, all of the massive humanitarian atrocities that are being committed through the blockade, through the siege, the cutting off of food, fuel, water, electricity, and so forth.
Yeah, but at the same time that this is happening, we've just seen the European Union has been unable to agree on a ceasefire. What do you make of that they can't even come together and call for something as simple and basic as allowing aid into the 2 million people that are still inside Gaza? 3 weeks on, the situation is clearly getting worse and worse.
Well, I think that the U.S. and European countries have stated that they're firmly behind Israel, despite obviously the massive atrocities that have been committed, despite the fact that we're looking at 7,000 Palestinians killed in a very short amount of time, despite obviously the massive destruction of the entire infrastructure, including the most basic life-saving things. We just listened to a press conference by a UN official where he talks about the challenges facing the UN staff right now. They're using what little fuel they have and having to make really horribly difficult decisions about, do we use it for life support machines, hospitals, do we use it for bakeries?